Is lower back pain ruining your golf performances? Lower back pain in golfers is the most commonly experienced injury. Although there's lots of reasons for lower back pain, the most common one is overuse injury. This is because of the nature of the golf swing. There's lots of rotational forces occurring, it's an asymmetrical motion, and it puts naturally a lot of pressure through the lower back. So in this video, I'm going to go through some key exercises that's going to help strengthen and make that lower back more robust, reduce your symptoms of pain, and prevent the risk of re-injury. I'm going through these exercises where you can do them at home and explaining so you understand how each individual exercise has a purpose to help strengthening, mobilizing, protecting that lower back area. So the first exercise we can do is more of a mobility to get that lumbar spine and spine more mobilized, more working, so we're almost greasing up the joints is a really cool phrase to think of. So on all fours, you're just going to try and round your neck in, so essentially pulling the hips forward, chin down, rounding the spine, and then doing the opposite where you're pushing the abs down, hips back, head up, and arching the spine. And if you hold for 3 seconds in each position, essentially we're just getting that spine nice and mobilized to make sure there's as much freedom in there as possible. Secondly, we then want to kind of activate and stabilize this area. So we're going to focus on the core muscles that help stabilize that lumbar spine. So all you need to do is lie on your back, 90-degree angle, arms up straight. Key here is lower back pressed into the floor so the ab muscles are nice and tight. And then you're going to slowly lower one leg so it's as straight as possible, low to the ground without touching. Hold that position and feel like we keep the abs really tight at the bottom. If you start to experience a little bit of pain in the lower back, don't go quite as far, so probably just halfway, build up that range of motion. All this is those lower back muscles fatiguing. So that's why we need to strengthen them and get more endurance, but we also have to build that up. Next, we want to try and get some mobility through the hip while having to stabilize through the core and lower half. So all you need to do is take a golf club, placing it across your chest. If you then go into a golf type posture, a little bit more flexed over than conventionally, and just bring one foot back so you're a little bit on that tiptoe, you're just going to try and turn that shoulders into the front hip. The feeling of keeping really planted with the front foot, but getting the club head in line with the knee or beyond. And all we're trying to do here is just create some mobility in the rotation element of the spine and load up the hip joint. So we're actually learning to rotate effectively rather than, in theory, over swaying, which can place a lot of stress through that lower back. So have we got the range of motion? Have we got the stability to create the correct movement that then takes pressure off that lower back? Next, we're going to focus on engaging and activating the hamstring muscles. The hamstrings muscles play a really key role in how the hips rotate and stabilize. If they're not strong enough, that can place, again, excessive stress on the lower back. So going on the floor with the knees at roughly a 45-degree angle, arms across chest, lower back into the floor. Feel like you slowly push the hips to the ceiling through pushing through the heels. Squeeze at the top, so feel like you squeeze your glute muscles and your hamstrings are nice and tight, and control it back down. The straighter the legs, the more stress that goes through those hamstrings. So if you're a little bit weak there, have your knees more flexed and then build this up. We need to get endurance through those hamstrings and engagement through the glutes to help stabilize the pelvis. And then finally, we want to try and get some strength and engagement through the side of the glutes. So we're working the whole of the area. Think of how the pelvis and hips connect into the lower back. So that as one unit, the more stable it is, the more mobile and the better it functions, the more capacity it has to move better, both in the golf swing and take the forces of the golf swing. Lying on the floor, put your knees on top of one another with the flex at 90 degrees. Ideally, use a line on the floor to help align yourself up because we want the knee, the hip, and the elbow all on the same line. From here, you're going to push through the knee up so we create a straight position. So you're trying to feel tall as possible, hips forward, head back, and then we relax back down. So it's like almost a 2-second hold and repeat. So essentially, we're bridging up on our side. We should get some good engagement through the bottom of the hip and through the core. You can get in the habit of doing these exercises every other day at the very minimum to try and help build up that endurance and that strength and robustness in the key areas. You'll give yourself an opportunity of decreasing that lower back pain and reducing the risk of re-injury. However, longer term, you need to get much stronger. Body weight is not going to be enough. That's why we need more external load, which might come through the form of resistance bands or dumbbells, something that's heavier than just body weight alone, and getting stronger in these key areas that we've talked about with more advanced exercises. If you want a longer term strategy to help with that lower back pain, click on this link for access to my app that gives you more options for different strengthening and mobility routines. And if you want to understand more about the golf swing and why certain movements can place pressure and more stress through the lower back, watch this video next.